And I know you have a dairy farm, but I wrote two articles on farmers and mental illness, and they are 3% more likely to commit suicide. There's many factors that contribute to that. You know, they're away from facilities. They don't have virtual connections. They kind of put some dirt on it and rub away the problem, but they are in fact hurting themselves. Are you aware of that? And what's your response to that?
Well, I think that it's another. I once read an article about the 10 worst businesses to be in, and in the top 10 were both broadcasting and farming, and I was in both of them. So the farming thing has been a problem for a long time.
Yeah.
It's an amazing reality that people in a country that is as rich as it is in most
Mhm.
ways don't understand, don't get what healthy food is, how important it is to have a source. And so there are a lot of guys like me that have been around cows all their lives, milking cows. They may be able to milk 75 or 100. I know the first farm that I worked on as a kid when I was 6 years old had 13, I think, or 14 cows. I milked 150 at one point in time, and it wasn't enough because there's just no acceptance. The public has been taught that they need to be able to have access to cheap food. And
Mhm.
cheap food is not something that you can produce well. You can produce it, but not well in this country.
And we've accepted it as the norm. There were many reasons. There were some of the farmers just don't want to inherit. They don't want to move on in it. And so, but at the same time, they feel stressed that, you know, my father and grandfather and great grandfather had it, and why can't I persevere?
Well, some of them have, and they've done a good job, depending on how good they are at marketing, using social media, that sort of thing. The younger generation is good at it, and I've seen some farms. I do that American Family Farmers show. You talked about me scaling back. I do 4 weekend hours, two of them on health and wellness. The Good Day Health Show. I do the American Family Farmer, and I do the Talk Radio Countdown Show. American Family Farmer is much about my story as anybody's
Hmm.
because I'm not a big farmer and don't want to be. I don't want to milk 700 cows. I
Hmm.
don't want to try to control 14, 1,500 acres.
Hmm.
But yet that's in most circumstances, that's what you have to do
To
to
survive.
survive.
Right.
And, and that's a bottom line result of big ag uh,
Yep.
of the people that control the four shopping all the entities that sell groceries that are brand names
Yeah.
belong to four companies. That's it. 85% of the groceries in this country are controlled by four companies.
It's truly mind-boggling. You told me something years ago when we talked that you said if I knew how chicken nuggets were made, I'd never eat them again.
Well, and that goes for chicken, I think, in general, maybe more so today because of the avian flu. But the way that they're processed, because they're grown, I think I may have told you, not remembering the conversation vaguely. I had visited a farm in Pennsylvania, bought a tractor from a guy in Pennsylvania, and he was a
Mhm.
chicken guy. And he brought me through his operation. He had 36,000 chickens that he raised every 90 days. And I think he worked for either Tyson or Purdue, I can't remember which one, but they contract out with hundreds of farmers to grow. They don't grow one single chicken, neither
Right.
one of them. They contract it out and they keep squeezing the farmers so they can make more money. And the model collapses.
Hmm.
And but this guy told me, how they at the 90-day mark, what they do with a chainsaw, you can use your imagination.
I,
Uh,
I don't, I was eating something yesterday. It doesn't, well, I'll just tell you, I was eating taco. And when I start cognitively thinking about what I'm eating, it's distressing. It's just,
yeah.
you know, it is what we do. The last question on the farming. What do you know about farmers adapting to provide new services? I know some in our area are doing the pumpkin thing, they're doing the hay rides, they're doing the NFL
What's
corn.
called the agritourism business has become a staple of farming. I do it on my farm.
Okay.
You can look at the website, Eastleigh, Eastleigh, eastleyfarm.com. You can see the things that we do in season from the 1st of May to the end of October, including rides around. We have all kinds of animal connections, but
Right.
we have ice cream and stuff. But the agritourism, if it weren't for that, I probably wouldn't be able to keep the doors open.
There you go.
That's the way it is with a lot of farmers who just have to come up with another way of staying in business because they want to.
Right. It's in increasing numbers. Okay, if you're ready, it's my easy questionnaire. There's no right or wrong answer unless I think so. So you ready, Doug?
Ready.
Okay. Laptop or desktop?
Desktop.
Breaking Bad or Downton Abbey?
Downton Abbey.
Butterfinger or Baby Ruth?
Baby Ruth.
Someone you looked up to growing up?
Uncle Sam Mayo.
I'm sorry, that's not what we have. I apologize. Moving on. Do you have a face for radio or television?
You decide.
You're a good-looking guy. I wish I had your hair. What do you think I'm wearing this hat for? Because I love baseball?
I know a lot of people wear hats because of Trump wears a hat. He doesn't have any
Well,
hair.
and don't get me started. Uh, it is a spooky time.
Is
Documentary or film?
film. Well, that's not no. That's a 50-50 question, frankly.
All
But
right,
that's
I like, yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I'll
documentary.
watch Band of Brothers. Well, that's fiction. I mean, you know what I mean? That's based
Yeah,
on fact, but
right.
it depends on my mood, you know? Van Gogh or Van Halen?
Van Halen.
Come on.
Yeah, Betty Van
Serious?
Halen was great. I had him on my radio program once. He was a stick, man. He was
Well, he was a musical genius, but he was out there, wasn't he?
oh man, yeah. I mean that went without saying. I think for most of the people that grew up with that music and understood it, yes, that you knew that before you ever talked to
You shocked me on that one. Pinot Noir or Guinness?
him. Say it again, Pinot Noir,
Pinot
what?
Pinot Noir or Guinness?
Guinness. I don't drink, but I know
Oh, I'm
people.
done.
I'm an Anglophile, so I go with the British Isles.
You know what? Two things. I can't sleep anymore when I drink. And also, I woke up this morning with a sciatic thing and I didn't do anything to aggravate it, Doug. What the hell's happening to us when we get older?
Go find a good bone hip guy and get a shot in your bursa. I just got a shot. I had bursitis,
Yeah.
and I thought it was my hip, and it wasn't. It was just bursitis, and so get a shot there. I'm back to normal.
Well, I went to Europe last year on a Viking cruise and I had a brace on my knee because I thought I'd torn some meniscus. It was gout,
Yeah, I'm really.
you
Oof,
know, a
that's
couple pills.
horrible. Yeah.
Huh?
How are the Viking cruises? I've
I've been
always
on two. I've been on two in
really.
consecutive years. Remarkable. I mean, especially if like us, we hadn't been to Europe before because they hold your hand from beginning to end, and we needed that because we were a little trepidatious.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
heard the one on the Rhine is supposed to be fabulous.
we've done the Danube, and we went to Paris, and then I went to Normandy. I do this for everybody. From Normandy, the sand
Yeah.
from the beach,
Oh,
from Utah Beach, they
that's a
encourage you to take it.
conversation in
I
itself. Yeah.
mean, don't get me started on that.
Yeah, you know what it is? It's a conversation if you understand the significance of it. You could shake that around and show it to a 24-year-old,
No,
they wouldn't know what the hell you were talking
I
about.
couldn't agree more, Doug. And that is truly tragic. You can talk about tragedy. That is tragic. And you
The
know what?
education system in this country it sucks.
You know, my wife's been a teacher for 32 years. They're cutting the NEA in the places that need it the most.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Well, that's what the reality of what's going on. Everybody in my family's been a teacher at one time or another, including me, and it's a wonderful, wonderful way to be in touch with reality. Frankly, even when you own your own children, you can kind of shape and mold them. But you get in front of a class of 26, 28, 30 kids who've been molded in a 26 or 28 different ways
yeah.
and you're trying to teach them English or speech or history or math or science or whatever it is, and you better be clever.
What do you tell you? This is not part of the questionnaire. What do you tell your grandkids today about? I mean, I hope my girls never have kids. I mean, that's the way I'm feeling about it these days. Is it
Hmm.
pessimistic?
I have a 10-year-old named Miles and a 3-year-old named Jasper, and they are the lights of
Right.
many people's lives, including mine. They're both smart kids, and I tend to think, I ask my daughter and my son from time to time, what do you think it's going to be like for these guys in 30 years? I think both of them will have because of their upbringing, what they're exposed to, how they're being led and taught, and how they're being taught to lead themselves. They'll find a way. They will both
My
find a way.
wife always says maybe one of them will turn the tide for everything. You just don't know.
No,
You have
you don't.
some that turned it. I have my wife and I have advanced degrees, two masters, and I have siblings that are high school educated, but you know what side they fall on. I don't even know if this get into
Oh yeah,
politics.
absolutely right.
But it blows my
A lot of
mind.
people. I know a lot of business people who fall on that same side, and it's for their own self-indulgence
Oh,
or
that's it.
self-protection. It's a protection thing because the business world has become so contorted. I mean, I get it. I'm a businessman. I
I know.
understand the unbelievably difficult, whether it's local, state, national, the way you have to, what you have to do to stay in business today, and how you have to deal with government is nuts. It's crazy. It doesn't have, there's no substance that backs it up. I happen to be on the Economic Development Commission in the town, the city where I live in Massachusetts, and we're all about trying to make the town, try to deal with the tax structure, bring in businesses, become business friendly, because over the years, almost every community has fallen prey to people who want to run things, but they don't have a clue. They don't.
I heard a quote a few years ago that said the depth of the stupidity is astounding.
It is. It is astounding,
And
and that's
how do
because
thinkers like you and I get through the day?
the thing that is the problem is that we've allowed universal intelligence to run universal schools.
Hmm.
Everybody is different. Everyone needs to have a different way. They learn differently. They think differently. They
Hmm.
opine differently.
Right.
And so why do we try to? I mean, I used to teach English and speech in junior high school. And I used to get the principal would bring me down to his office and say, "What are you doing? I'm getting a lot of calls." And I would try to explain it. And he says, "No, I don't want to know what you're doing. I just don't want to get any calls. So stop whatever you're doing." And that was the beginning of the era in which this whole business of the mass education, there is stuff, there are programs for the people who really need help and on the bottom end, and the people who need help or want help or can take the help on the upper end. But the people in the middle, nah, they
I
just,
told you my wife's teaching for 32 years.
yep.
75% of her class has ADHD, and they have
Okay.
a curriculum now where a book says Negro, and the community's up in arms about it. I'm like, how are we going to learn if we don't
Ridiculous.
look at our mistakes?
Yeah, that's a ridiculous. I mean, that's what was real at the time. May not be applicable or
No.
usable now, but it was real. And so all these people that are being edged out, pushed out,
Yep.
the whole idea of being politically correct has
Hmm.
been distorted to the nth degree.
I agree. I mean, we have to learn from our past. All right, couple more. A book you've reread several times in your life.
Um, the book about dogs that I have loved
I
and
love dogs, but
there are a couple of really good dog books, but there's one, and I have it on my bookshelf, and whether I can see it, or I forget the exact title to it, but it's about how to make sure that your dog lives forever. I think it's called it's called,
I'm going to tell you something. You're going to think I'm corny. I wept for my cockapoo, like
I don't think you're
more than
corny
my
at all.
parents, more
No,
than my parents.
my dog Charlotte, who died in 2015, I'd had for 15 years, and she was the closest thing to me. And when she died, it affected me more than it's affected me when anybody else in my life
My
has died.
parents weren't even close. And you talk about letting them live forever. And Doug, I don't do this kind of crap, but I will go to my bed and I touch it every night, and I think of my three dogs, and
Yep.
every
I have my
single
dogs.
thing.
I have Charlotte's collar on my
Yeah,
bedpost.
I
I
couldn't
sleep
handle
with,
that. I'd
I
be
sleep with my dog Daisy, who is a twin sister to Charlotte. It's
I
really
mean, it's the answer to life. All right, a couple more. Jeep or Jaguar?
Jeep.
No, that's wrong. Academy Awards.
I've
Academy.
had Jaguars and I've had Jeeps, and I
I got a
prefer.
Jeep, and I heard Jaguars are not good anymore.
No, they are. The only thing, the most fascinating thing about a Jaguar, Los Angeles has the self-drive cars, the Waygos, and I spend a lot of time in LA because my kids are there, so I have a little place and I go back and forth a lot, especially in the wintertime. And I remember the first time I got into one of those Waygos, there's nobody driving it. But yet I got from my daughter's house to my house, and it wasn't any different than any other ride. It is the strangest,
Hmm.
weirdest. thing. And then you drive around on the surface streets in LA. You never see them much on the 405 or the
Mhm.
101, but you see them on the surface streets. They're all over the place.
Yeah.
Hundreds of them.
My sister had an XKE, I think, in a
Cool
68.
car.
That was a hatchback. That was nice. All
That
right.
was a cool car. Yeah,
Academy
that's
Awards or Grammys?
which one? Which was first?
Academy Awards or Grammys?
Academy Awards.
Just a couple
Grammys.
more.
The
Olympics or
Grammys are too self. If I
yeah,
don't
I
know.
agree. I don't watch either.
No.
Olympics or Super Bowl?
Olympics.
And the final question for you, Doug, and this is probably the most important one. Mimosas or martinis?
I don't drink, so you can have both of them as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, damn. Now I got to come up with a fresh one. How about VCR or Blu-ray?
Blu-ray.
Doug, thanks so much. I hope this
Good to
was
talk to you.
I enjoyed it. Hopefully we can do it again.
Continued success.
To you as well, my friend. Thank you, Doug.